1:45, Chuck Henson in for Rick Elmhorst. Rick will actually be back in this seat in just a few moments to continue our breaking news coverage of a failed aircraft landing at Tampa International Airport. You are looking live now at Sky 9 above the scene. As a matter of fact, it was Sky 9's Tim Harper, our photographer in Sky 9 that we used throughout the day, that spotted this smoke when this aircraft went down. I want to take a minute. We've got some pictures from the scene, I understand, as well. Let's see if we can bring those up so we can get a better idea of what this wreckage looks like. That is video from Sky 9 when they first arrived on the scene. Just a plume of smoke, the aircraft completely engulfed in flames, and it is a total loss. I want to show you where this is located. So this is just south of runway 1 right at Tampa International Airport. This space is at the corner of Ward and Nassau, or very close to that, which is just south of Spruce and the as I mentioned, runway 1 right, but also the new car rental center, the new parking structures at the airport are all just north of there as well. I want to bring in Spectrum Bay News 9 meteorologist Nick Merianos, because a little known fact about Nick. Nick is a small aircraft pilot as well. And Nick, you've been in small aircraft like this. You've flown small aircraft like this. I had asked you specifically before we went on the air, would the winds be out of the north so that an aircraft would want to land on runway 1R? And your response was there wouldn't be an aircraft that size in that airspace at all.
Right, unless you have special permission, right? So you mentioned the north wind. We do know, at least on a meteorological perspective, a north wind. So they would be using that runway on the, going from the north orientation for any landing aircraft at this point. But what I can tell you, as a single-engine private pilot aircraft, it's not standard operation to be going into Tampa International. So just speaking on just speculating here, you would have permissions if you are declaring an emergency as a pilot. Then you have options to land on any runway, the closest runway. And in this case here, Tampa International was that runway. Then this pilot, I'm just speaking, being speculative at this point, could be making that option to land at Tampa International Airport, where also there are more resources than other smaller airports that are nearby. So on a weather aspect of this, I'm not looking at too much in the way of a concern weather-wise.
Right. Yeah, there's clear skies. It's a beautiful day. Right. That's not the case. I started my career as an airborne traffic reporter in Chicago, so a lot of experience around that Class B airspace. Tell me about Class B airspace and what that is.
Yeah, Class B is very restricted. You can't go into that airspace without having control with, with air traffic control. You need to have specific permission to enter the Class Bravo airspace there. And again, it's really reserved for those on an IFR flight plan that's very active with air traffic control, or even commercial aircraft going from point A to point B. There are other, underneath the Class Bravo airspace, there are other airspaces like Class E airspace that are designed for private pilot aircraft, where you don't really need to focus on extreme task there. Speaking with air traffic control, you can just look out and use visual flight rules, VFR rules, to navigate around. As long as you're outside that Class Bravo airspace, Class Bravo is fairly restricted, and you need specific permission to cross through or enter that airspace.
So while it is supposition on our part, it is intelligent experience that tells us that aircraft wouldn't have been that close to Tampa International unless there had been some kind of emergency declared in advance, correct?
That's right, or unless you had prior special permission before entering the airspace. Maybe he was on an IFR flight rule, or it may be a commercial pilot, but as in my experience as a private pilot, Chuck, flying around Tampa, I fly out of Peter O'Knight Airport. I stay out of that Class Bravo airspace.
Yeah, we were mentioning those two aircrafts off the air. Peter O'Knight and Tampa International are the two that would take a small single-engine aircraft like this into their onto their field without a problem, right? Right.
Yeah. Tampa, Peter O'Knight Airport, which is right there on Davis Island. Then you have also Tampa Executive. They're on the same orientation, going out toward I-75, I-4 interchange. Those are not towered airports, so you can just come and go as long as you're in communications. For instance, let's look at, you have St. Petersburg Clearwater Airport. That's a Class D airspace, and private pilots come in and out of through there, but that's also controlled with air traffic control entering that airspace. But it's very common to see, single-engine planes going through that. It's a much smaller airport. But then you cross over to Tampa International, where it's a very high air traffic volume. You have high-speed jets going into that airspace, and that's one of the reasons why Class Bravo is more restricted with private pilots.
So if indeed this particular pilot declared an emergency, would Tampa International Airport shut down in order for them to do their thing and land safely?
Not necessarily, no. It's there's multiple runways to go through. So what they would typically do in a situation like this, it would be shut, if they cleared them to land on, say, runway 1 right, which is the shorter of the 2 runways that go from north to south, the aircraft coming in for landing, the emergency aircraft would have priority, but they would still keep operations on runway 1 left.
Yeah, that's what I would say. In my experience flying around this area, that 1 right was used for a lot of the Lear jets, the private jets, not the commercial aircraft, because it is a shorter runway, and the private executive services are also on that side of the airport.
Exactly. So temporarily, you may see a runway shut down here. Runway 1 right had this aircraft had to make a landing and also stop on the runway, but unfortunately, we didn't see that here.
I mean, I'm looking at Sky9 shot right now. This is video from earlier from Sky9, but I'm looking live at Sky9 shot here in the studio, and where that aircraft hit the ground is maybe a half a mile from the end of that runway, right in line with it as it would have done. So I want to mention as well, thank you, Nick. I appreciate all of that. Again, this is what's reported to us as a failed landing attempt at Tampa International Airport. The video you're looking at now was shot earlier today. The fire is out, fire rescue is there, and they are working that scene right now. We can certainly see that happening. This is at the intersection of Ward and Nassau, which again is just south of the airport property. Our own Sky9, Tim Harper, is the one who spotted this and who brought it to our attention. Josh Rojas is on his way there now. We will update you at the top of the hour.